The man never imagined that he would become a goblin in less than 4 months. Not only did he have children, but they were also a pair of boy-girl twins. Perhaps due to inheriting Gobru's genes, they were not only extraordinarily talented, they learned to walk in less than a day, and they even started calling him dad. However, not long ago, Gobru had no idea how difficult it would be to deliver a goblin baby. While escorting the princess back to the capital, Gobru accidentally discovered that the twin sisters' bellies were somewhat abnormal, and they were visibly growing at a rapid pace. Although it was somewhat unbelievable, the result was beyond doubt. The sisters were pregnant with his child. Since he had no experience with childbirth, Gobru could only consult Gobuji, who was thousands of miles away. After learning about this, Gobuji's answer to Gobru was to act as quickly as possible, to find a place nearby where they could give birth, because goblin children are different from humans. Once they become conscious, they will crazily snatch nutrients from the mother's womb, and then be born immediately. Moreover, Gobru is an ogre among goblins. The nutrients he needs are not comparable to ordinary goblins. Normally, if the mother is also an ogre, there would be no problem, but the key is that the pregnant ones are humans. Their bodies simply cannot bear it. If the nutrients are insufficient, the baby might even bite through the stomach to come out. And just in this short period of time, the twin sisters' bodies visibly lost weight. Thinking that they might die, Gobru had no choice but to take a different approach. He forcefully tore off one of his own arms, and let the twin sisters eat it. After all, compared to ordinary food, his ogre flesh and blood would be more nutritious. Not to mention that he also has a talent skill. For him, it's just a hand or a foot that can quickly regenerate, but they are humans after all. Seeing the twin sisters hesitating, Gobru had to harden his heart. Even if they would hate him afterwards, he must ensure that both of them survive. By feeding them with his mouth, Gobru forced both of them to eat his flesh and blood. Although it was somewhat brutal, the effect was surprisingly good. In this way, he continued to repeat the above operation, and did the same for the other sister. After feeding the sisters in the same way, after a while, Gobru finally found a suitable cave for childbirth. Although there were powerful monsters living inside, it was not a problem for them at all. After easily sending the owner of the cave to heaven, Gobru also used his skills in clones to make a bed where the two of them could lie down. At this point, the sisters' bellies were so big that they looked like they could burst at any moment. So, to alleviate their pain, Gobru kept casting anesthesia and healing skills during this time. He didn't know how long it had been, but finally, it came to the last step. Seeing that the fetus had fully grown at this moment, Gobru had to perform the operation himself. After all, in this situation, it was impossible to give birth naturally, although no one present had any experience with this. Fortunately, as a modern person, Gobru knew about cesarean section, although he only had a half understanding of it. But now, with his anesthesia and healing skills, he could complete it with a little care. He didn't know how long it had been, but Gobru was lucky. The older twin sister gave birth to a girl, and the younger twin sister gave birth to a boy. Both babies were born safely, and as for the sister's wounds, there was no need to worry. He had completely healed them with his abilities. But what was strange was that both babies had a horn on their foreheads. After telling Gobuji about this, unexpectedly, Gobuji told him that his children were likely to be mixed blood ogres. But this was not a good thing, but a bad thing. It turns out that if a human female is pregnant with a demi-human's child, most of them will be of the same race as the father. But there is a very small chance that they will give birth to a special race called mixed blood. Because they have both human and non-human characteristics, they will become particularly powerful when they grow up. But after all, they are different species. Their birth is not recognized by the race. Instead, they will be ostracized by their people. In the future, they will inevitably cause harm to all sides. Therefore, Gobuji suggested that Gobru might as well kill them while they are still babies. But what did the baby do wrong? Gobru immediately refused his suggestion. As the leader of a clan, he would not let such a thing happen. It's worth mentioning that Gobru's two children were born with the characteristics of a lord orb. It may be related to his previous large intake of orb, so he named the daughter born to the older twin sister Oro, and the son born to the younger twin sister was named Argento. After the situation stabilized, taking advantage of this outing, Gobru also decided to go out and look for the powerful monster that he had not seen so far, to become stronger by hunting and killing. But what he didn't expect was that he did find it, but unexpectedly, he saw a scene that he would never forget in his life. That scene was like a painting. Even he, who was now an ogre, was a little shocked. He felt that even if he used all his abilities, the odds of winning were probably only 30%. But this was not the time to hesitate. But unexpectedly, just as Gobru was preparing, this deer looked a bit strange. After staring at Gobru for a long time, it didn't make any move to attack. Until 2.5 minutes passed, it suddenly made a baffling move. When Gobru looked again, he found that it had actually shed its own antlers. Before Gobru could understand what was going on, it brushed past his body and whizzed past. It disappeared in an instant. Gobru knew he couldn't catch up, so his attention came to the antlers. He had a premonition. After eating this pair of antlers, he would definitely get a particularly powerful skill. But suddenly two people appeared in his mind. His intuition told him these antlers would be very helpful to his children after this adventure. So Gobru continued to move forward. But what he didn't expect was that this unexpectedly led him to another big battle. A mixed force of humans and beastmen is currently battling the ice plane monsters in this area. The leader gave Gobru a sense of interest. His strength has at least reached the level of an ogre. However, even though he is so powerful, he didn't get any advantage in front of this human force. Compared to the humans Gobru had seen before, this force is undoubtedly the strongest group Gobru has encountered in this world, especially the leader among them, gave Gobru a sense of threat. And soon this great battle also came to an end. After all the clan members were wiped out, the leader finally got angry at this time. He wants to use the strongest magic to destroy humans. Unexpectedly, a powerful attack suddenly appeared and killed the leader. It turns out this is Gobru's 4th level spell in Demise magic. Just because it needs to gather strength, he usually doesn't have the opportunity to use it. use it. The reason why he did this was not to save people, but in this way, this human force can fight him with all their strength. And seeing Gobru's appearance, sure enough, except for the blonde man who was a bit heavy, everyone else's faces changed greatly, and as the saying goes, plants can't keep up with changes. Although the blonde man in front of him looks a bit embarrassed, but the sense of danger Gobru gave him did not decrease but increased. It's even stronger than the feeling just now, so this also gave Gobru an odd idea. Good work, that was a good fight you showed me back there. And this instantly confused the blonde man, hearing that Gobru just wanted to recover the bodies and had no hostility. And relatively, he will also treat all of them afterwards, although it's a bit outrageous, but the blonde man agreed on the spot, so he let him recover like this. Unbeknownst to him, after Gobru left, the blonde man suddenly felt a sigh of relief. It turns out that he never believed Gobru's words from beginning to end, but his ability told him, if they fight with Gobru, all of them will die. Unconsciously, it has been a day since Gobru came out, but when he returned to the cave, he was stunned. Who would have thought that just one day had passed? His children not only learned to walk, and they will also call dad. At this time, Gobru also remembered the antlers he had obtained, so after crushing it, he immediately fed it to the child, and sure enough, the effect was quite good. Both Aro and Argento's ability values have been greatly improved. Since there is still some left, Gobru also followed and tried some, but unexpectedly, the skill he gained from this trial was secondary. What's more wonderful is his body. He has a premonition that he is going to evolve again, and even Redhead also got a new job called Sacred Beast Eater, but at this time, Gobru didn't have the mind to inquire. It was at this time that he realized that he seemed to have made a mistake. What 30% win rate? Now thinking back to that white deer, it's not an opponent he could deal with at that time, but fortunately, everything has passed. That night, while everyone was asleep, Gobru also opened the text in his mind. It shows that due to the completion of special conditions, his level has broken through the upper limit again, can evolve into Apostle Lord extinct species. Then early the next morning, everyone was also shocked to see Gobru.